And now, weighing in out of the blue corner, Josh the Punk Thompson. 100% agree. And on the other mic, he weighs in from the red corner, Big John McCarthy.
Well, hello to everyone. Yes, it is another edition of the Weighing In podcast with my main man, the Punk, Josh Thompson, ready to give all of the insight on the things that happened at UFC 283 from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. My man, you're sitting there all stoic, all ready to go. I'm not going to give you a chance, so I'm just going to keep talking here so you can't talk or you can't get anything out. What's up? Something like that, yeah.
It's a little past 4 a.m. here, and you guys can hear it in my voice. I was coaching all day yesterday, so my voice is kind of gone shot. I missed my Chiefs playing in the playoffs, but we got some gold medals brought home, baby boy. It was so cool to see, man. The kids were tearing it up. My voice is gone. I still have a little bit of a headache because I was yelling so much, but it was crazy, man. Jiu-Jitsu World League puts on a great tournament for the kids.
They put on a classy tournament. They really do.
It's so well organized. I mean, like, you show up and your match isn't always at like 11 o'clock, but they have the kids lined up. They walk them to the mat. They have it organized. Kids are competing within that hour. They have every hour. They've got the next weight classes, the next belts or whatever it is. It was awesome, man. We had about 18 kids compete yesterday, and I'd say only 2 of them left without medals, which is nice. So they did a great job. The kids competed and did really well, man. It was awesome. Good time.
Always makes you feel good, man, when you work with kids and then everything that you worked on and stuff, all of a sudden they put it out there and they actually use it and it works for them and they get the wins or they just perform well. Even if they don't get the win, it's okay. It just makes you feel good.
I mean, shit, I've been working with fucking Podcast Dave for about 6 years now. He hasn't performed. So we're still trying to figure out how to get this guy to perform somehow, some way.
Some things are just never meant to be.
Yeah. Shit, man, we're stuck. But hey, guys, before we get into UFC 283 and this pay-per-view with Teixeira and Hill, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. Hit the little thumbs up, man. We really need that. Let's help that algorithm push our podcast and so we can do more content. That's the biggest thing we want to do is we want to be able to produce more content, but we need you guys' help. So hit that subscribe button. Hit the notifications as well. And that'll be good because we're going to be dropping some special shows for you guys throughout this year. And you guys want to be the first ones to hear us. So hit that subscribe button. Also go to WayneInMerch.com. Pick up some of our hoodies, new designs on the shirts, clothes, apparels, hats, and John loves the hats. And we got our old logo, new logo. We got a bunch of new designs that are up there as well. So WayneInMerch.com. All right, John, let's go ahead and bust right into this show. Let's go right into this main event. Let's go. Let's
be honest. We have a new champion in Jamal Hill, someone who a lot of people would have thought was going to get in the position at this point in his career. Now 12-1. He's got the one loss to Paul Craig that, shit can happen, man. But, man, he performed so well, Josh. Mm-hmm. He performed with a lot of, composure. His fight IQ was there. I was really impressed. After watching, that loss to Paul Craig, I was worried about on the ground. I thought Glover, definitely had the big advantage. And I tell you what, man, athleticism-wise, just taking the right time, not panicking and being composed like I'm talking about, gets himself up out of bad positions multiple times. That's what a guy who is, going to be the champ does. That's what a guy who is showing that, I'm a complete mixed martial artist. I may not be the jiu-jitsu expert that he is. I don't need to be. I need to be the guy that knows when and where to get up, how to get up, and go back to doing what I'm doing that is working so well. Look, he took some big shots too, man, and he's got it. We knew he had a good chin. We've seen that in his past fights. We knew that he's got power. And the other thing that you look at is, again, composure. When you are hitting a guy with big shots that normally have ended fights for you, in the back of your mind, when it doesn't end and the guy stays in there, it works against you at a point like, God damn it, what do I have to hit this guy with? And he just kept rolling. He just kept coming. I was super impressed with his performance.
Yeah, I was impressed with the fact that he was able to get up after he did get taken down. He didn't let that deter him from letting his hands go. He also learned from it after he did get taken down. He started moving and getting on his bike a little bit more with the sticking and moving. And we talked about last week, the uppercut was key. The uppercut was setting up and keeping the hands up high. So he's going here and then keeping the elbows of Glover pinched together so it was harder to get in, but she was also opening up the face. He did a great job of just touching and touching, not overcommitting. He fought a very Nate Diaz style fight with great takedown defense. There was many of times in that first 2 rounds that Glover got in real deep on the single leg dump, and he couldn't get the takedown, couldn't get the dump. And he fought his way, even when he did get taken down, fought his way right back up to his feet after a little bit of a scare here and there, but he still was able to get back to his feet, came out the back door, especially later in the fight, and just got to the top, got back to his feet. Great job by him. I was really impressed with his composure. The way that he was able to continue fighting in that 4th and 5th didn't look like he lost a step. Everything was kind of going his way. And when everything's going your way, you feel like you're light on your feet. You feel like things aren't missing. And I think he could just see the damage on Glover's face, that big gash over Glover's right eye.
Who couldn't see the damage on his face?
No, I said I think he could see. Oh yeah, that was, I mean, like it was nasty. Well, it was funny. You listen to the commentary. Oh, I didn't realize the cuts were that bad. Did you not see it was like a fucking crater on his face? Yeah. It was this huge, just canyon right across his eyelid. I was like, holy shit. But I thought he fought a great fight. But okay, all of those things being said, John, let me ask you this. Is he a product of a aging weight class?
Yes. No doubt about it. You know, if there is a weight class that the UFC has had that was one of their centerpieces, it was their star maker, it was the light heavyweights.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Go back to, you know, when you're taking a look at the runs of people in that, you know, weight class. You had the Randy Coutures, you had Vitor Belfort, you had Chuck Liddell coming in.
Whoa! You can't skip over Frank Shamrock, man. I mean, you know.
Well, that was
he was the original.
Okay, hold on. When I say that, see, Frank started. It was considered middleweight back then because it was 200 pounds and under. 200 pounds and over was heavyweight. 200 pounds and under was middleweight. And then Frank actually, it was heavy. I think it was called light heavyweight when he fought Tito Ortiz, UFC 22. So you're right, you know, but Frank was never a light heavyweight.
He's tiny. Guy walked around like 81, 84.
Dude, I remember when Frank had quarters.
Yep.
Rolls of quarters in his pockets to make weight.
To fight Tito.
Huh?
To fight Tito.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He fucking put rolls of quarters in his pants and weighed in with his fucking jeans and a belt on. And, you know, because he wasn't that big a guy.
Well, those of you guys that don't understand what he's talking about, there can't be that big of a weight discrepancy. So you have to put some weights in your pocket to make sure you're within like a 20-pound weight limit, correct? Is it 20 pounds?
Yeah, because at the time, the weight class was actually 200. It was, you know, you had to be 200 or less. And he was weighing somewhere around 183, 184. Yeah. Somewhere in there. So he put weight in, so he weighed in at like 190 something.
Yeah, he weighed in at 196.
Yeah. So he I mean, like I said, that weight class with Tito, with Chuck, with Randy was always one of their shining, you know, star elements. And then John Jones just took it over. You know, you had Lyoto Machida for a little bit, you know, and then Shogun Rua, but when John Jones took it over, there was no doubt, you know, who the best person was, and everyone was trying, you know, and you know, some people got close in certain fights and stuff like that. But since John has vacated that belt, what's been there?
Yeah,
there's really been problems.
I feel like John dispatched of all the young and up-and-comers that were coming. You had Dominic Reyes, you had Anthony Smith, you had Santos, you had those guys. Those were the scary guys that were young and up-and-coming.
Did you say Anthony Smith was young?
Well, when they
I love Anthony Smith.
When they fought, he was, you know, he was kind of young, what, 31?
Yeah, he was probably 34 or so when he fought.
Really, that long? What is he, 40 now?
Oh, yeah, he's Anthony's up there, man.
I know he's up
He's
there.
been around forever.
He's been around.
Fighting
He's
since
fought
he
in
was very
Strikeforce.
young.
He's 34.
He's 34 now.
34 now? Jesus.
Yeah, so
That's
was
amazing.
young when he fought. He's been around for a long time.
Oh, my God.
I remember him being on the undercards of the Strikeforce fights.
Do me a favor. Go on his record and show me his first fight. As far as the year.
UFC?
No, not even UFC.
Year. Just the year.
Just the year of his first fight. Because, I mean, he's been fighting forever.
2008.
All right, guys. I'm going to
2008.
There we go.
Okay. Which means, how old was he? If he's 34 now.
So 2018, he would have been 29, so he'd have been 19.
Jesus.
Been fighting a long fucking time, man. Started out as a young man. But, in the UFC, how long has he been there? Let's see how, if you put
2016.
2016.
Yeah.
Because,
He didn't come over. He didn't come over in the Strikeforce UFC, obviously. Then
I don't think he did. No, it was because he had fought in Strikeforce there, but he had also fought in Bellator. He fought in all kinds of different organizations.
He's good, man. He's good. Yeah. So I mean, but after Chuck had lost, it went like Rashad. It went Shogun. It went. Who else was it? Machida. They had
Rashad,
Forrest,
Lyoto,
Quentin,
Shogun,
Quentin, Forrest. There was champion after champion. It seemed like almost every fight the title was changing hands.
Yeah.
And then John Jones came. I was like, holy shit. This dude's been around forever. Look, I'm not trying to take anything away from John Mahal Hill, but he legit is, I feel like he's a product of just the weight class itself is aged. So like Santos is kind of on his way out, just the damage he's taken or just the injuries, his knees being surgery. Glover just retired. Jan Blachowicz is probably going to be sitting that retirement here probably within the next year and a half, 2 years. I'd say 2 years. He'll keep going, I think.
Well, hold on.
The Polish power.
Santos isn't even in the UFC.
Oh, so he's not anymore. Okay, see, that's the thing.
He's in the PFL.
Okay, so then you have, who else you got up there? So Uncle Live will be around for a bit.
Yep.
Rakic, if he can come back from this injury.
Rakic,
he's good.
Injuries.
He's good. He's got the knee injury. Anthony Smith, 34. I mean, but he's still got a lot of fighting him. Jamal Hill is now the champ. Krylov, still got some ways to go though. He's got some ways. He's got to fix some things. He's got to fix quite a bit of things. Paul Craig, we just saw what happened to him, so he'll be at the bottom. He'll be probably out of the top 10 now. And then you move on. I can't move on down. There's some more people. Let me see here. Let me move this down here. But I'm looking at an aging bracket. The one that I want to see the most right now is Ryan Spann.
Yep. Right. Ryan Spann's got a lot to deliver. Johnny Walker's looking good. Let's be honest. It's so funny. Well, we'll talk about Johnny in a little bit, but he's a lot of people wrote him off and everything. Everything's about the way you're fighting.
I did. I wrote him off. I did. Yeah. I was one of those guys.
And I talked to him in Ireland. We stood there and talked, and he was saying, "What do you think?" And I told him, I said, "You have to stop fighting to please people. You are trying to do things that please the UFC, that please the fans. These fancy flying knees and these dramatic moves, they're putting you into a bad spot. They're putting you into positions where you lose the fights based upon them. You just go about being the fighter that you can be. Use your length. Use all the tools that God has given you that you're working." And I was telling, I said, and now with, your coach who you have in John Kavanaugh, hey, you can beat these guys. You just have to beat them using your brain, not just your body. And man, he's doing it. He's really doing it. Yeah,
I think he's got the ceiling is high for him. If he can just learn to fight smart. But I'm gonna go back to the main event. So John Mahal Hill fights a great fight, does a great job of sticking and moving, gets himself out of trouble. He does everything that is expected of him. The ball is rolling in his direction. I think he realized after that first round, my speed is a huge advantage. I have a huge advantage. And then on top of it, as long as I can stuff these takedowns, give everything I can to stuff in the takedowns, keeping my back off the fence, he's got a good chance. And as you could just see the momentum building up after every round. Every round, he was getting better and better. And then when you got in those championship rounds, that third round was probably his worst round. But when you got into that fourth and fifth round, these are championship rounds. And
that fourth round.
He looked
that
good.
That fourth round was nasty.
Yeah, he looked good in the fourth. He looked good in the championship round.
That fourth round was a 10-8 coming up on a 10-7 round.
Jeez, man.
Okay.
But his performance in that third round was like, oh no, it looks like he's getting a little bit tired. He's getting hit some more. He got hit with some clean shots. He got taken down, I believe, in the third. But fourth and fifth, he looked a whole new fighter. Like it was almost like a second wind.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm good. People said I couldn't be here. People said I couldn't compete in the fourth and fifth round. And I'm here, and I'm winning these rounds.
Watching him when it got into the second round, I was like, he's getting tired. You could see him starting to slow down with, he landed a lot of shots. He did a lot of, movement, but he was getting, you could see his mouth was open. He was breathing hard. And I was like, uh-oh, that's not a good sign for him in this. Glover did a great job of moving with a lot of the punches. He, good head movement, kept his head off the center line a lot. The kick, the left high kick, he just could not see. Don't ask me what it was. It's something with the setup, and I didn't see what it was that Jamal Hill was doing, but something was keeping Glover from being able to read that kick. And that kick landed how many times? Even, and this is where people don't get it. Even when his hand does come up to block, look, your brain's getting rattled. That is a baseball bat going against your hand, which is touching your head, which means your head is getting all of that torque and power put into it. So, there was some things that Jamal Hill was doing that Glover could not figure out, how he was getting it off, how to stop it, what to do. And I got to give it up for Jamal Hill and the fact that he did. He sucked it up in areas of this fight when things could have gotten bad for him. He said, nope, not going to let that happen. And he just kept going and turned it up, did some great things. And he beat an aging guy in Glover, but he beat a guy that's got a ton of experience, a ton of fight IQ. And he did it in an impressive fashion. And that fourth round, it could have been over.
What we're seeing right now, though, across the sport, though, is guys that have 50 or 40 or 50 or 60 fights. They've been in the game so long, sure, and they've got all that experience. But if your body can't do what it needs to do to get these younger guys down, I mean, you got Jamal Hill here is 12-1.
You got to stop.
What? I'm gonna make a fucking T-shirt that says that. Podcast Dave says Jamal Hill. That's what I'm gonna fucking do. It's hard for them to get in deep enough on the takedowns. These young athletic fighters are coming from a background of whether it's kickboxing, whether it's wrestling. Johnny Eblen and Gegard Mousasi. I would have never thought in a million years that Johnny Eblen was going to beat Gegard the way he beat him. I didn't think in a million years that Jamal Hill was going to be able to stay out, keep his back off the canvas as well as he was able to. I mean, we've seen, it doesn't matter who you are. Glover's been able to get Anthony Smith down, Jan Blachowicz down, Yuri Prochaska. He took Yuri down like it was fucking nothing. He took him down several times, a whole fight. Several times. I mean, it was just constant. He just took him down, hold him down, control him. Hill didn't make it look that easy. Even when he did get him down, he wasn't able to control him. He wasn't able to hold. He did get to the mount at one point. Then he came out the back door. I was like, wow, dude, you're good. Like, I know Glover was getting tired. I know Glover's older and getting a little bit tired, but still, his technique is still on point. The way he able to crush you with his hips, kind of squeeze his thighs around your hips and kind of sit you back to your ass and control your positioning, make you feel all of his weight. He is one of those guys. For me, I feel like Glover's a heavy guy, but he also is like a Khabib where he's able to hunker over you and really control your positioning and make you feel every 230 pounds of whatever he's carrying that day. He's making you feel it.
He makes his 225 pounds feel like 450 pounds.
Yeah.
It doubles up. It sits there and it multiplies. It's so if you haven't been underneath somebody that understands how to use their weight and how to put pressure, it's hard to understand, but man, when you do, it's like, oh my God.
I mean, it was like that one day. That was one day I was in this cage and John had tripped and fell, and it was like fucking tree fell on me, and I just felt the 330 pounds just on top of me. I was like, gosh, man. And I wasn't expecting it because my back was turned when he jumped on me. Fell on me. But it was one of those.
You just keep going with that story, dude. I love it.
This is great.
I love it.
But to be honest, I look at the rankings right now, and I look at Jamal Hill. If he continues to be laser focused like he was last night, and I look at Brandon Moreno, and I said this in the midweek show. Laser focused Brandon Moreno, Jamal Hill, laser focused, and look at the outcome. Look at the way that they fought. Look at the way everything started going their way. There was nothing that was going to avoid them from being dialed in. Jamal Hill knew what he had to do, and he went out there and got it done. Great job. Great performance by him.
Let's talk about the retirement of Glover Teixeira, though. Mm-hmm. What do you think? Right time? Absolutely.
Absolutely. Where, like, if anyone could, I mean, honestly, I go back in my career. Had I been able to fight Anthony Pettis and it didn't go my way, I would have retired. But I didn't get the opportunity to fight Anthony Pettis, so I was like, all right, well, fuck, I felt like I still had more to do. I would have retired on top. I would have just, even if I did beat him, I probably would have fought one more time because the money was going to be a lot better. I probably would have fought again, or until I lost the title, then I would have walked away. But it was in my mindset, because when I was younger, when I fought Eves, that should have been for the lightweight title. I was ranked number 1 in the world. He was ranked number 2. We should have fought for the lightweight title. And my point when I came back to the UFC was like, I'll get there again. I knew I would. And then they offered it to me. I didn't get it. But the guys that were ranked ahead of me were tailor-made for me. One of them was Gray Maynard, who was a teammate of mine. So we had already talked about not fighting until it was for the title. But then I thought TJ Grant was tailor-made for me. I thought he was the speed, my speed, all that stuff. So I just felt like there was more. Him with Glover, he was already the champ. He's at 44 years old now, I believe. It was his time. Why go any further? They were kind of, you could tell they were wishy-washy on giving him this title shot again. Yeah. That's why they went with Ankalaev and Jan. And the fact that it didn't work out, I think he saw the writing on the wall. Why be a gatekeeper for all these young guys? Get out now, spend some time with my wife, my family, whatever it is. I'm happy, man. I'm so glad that he decided to leave while on top.
I agree with you. It's the right time to get out. There's no reason to, push your career into the point where you become the gatekeeper. You've had a fantastic career. You were the champion. He's got Alex Pereira, who is, fighting out of his gym. That's a guy that he's working with all the time. You can step right into that and, ride that, train as, far as it's going to go, because it's going to be there for a while. Alex is not old right now. So, this is the right time. And, Glover said the right thing is that, sometimes I'm too tough for my own good. And he is.
Yeah.
He's been a warrior the entire time I've ever known him. I've known him for 20 some years. And all I want to say is to Glover, man, brother, you gave it everything you had. You were a stud. Sometimes it just doesn't go our way, but you're always a champion, man.
Well, John, let's not forget, he had visa problems for so long. His prime was spent not fighting in the UFC when the UFC wanted him.
All over the world. I was refereeing him all over the world.
They wanted him. They were waiting. They were licking their chops going, man, why? There was nothing that they could do.
That's because he was working out with, he trained with Chuck.
Yep.
Yep.
And the UFC was doing everything they could. They even put money into it, from what I understood.
They did.
They put money in to get his visa thing situated, and they still couldn't get it situated. Yeah. He wasted his prime trying to get a fucking visa so he can get in and fight the best fighters in the world. And he still came back and fought for the title, won the title. He fought for the title 3 times. The first time came up short, second time won it, third time now came up short. But he's a stud. And if you haven't talked to him, or if you ever see him, don't let the bald head and the ornery look fool you. The guy's nothing but smiles. I got to be honest, man. Like, outside of like Frankie and for me BJ and those guys, certain guys, but he's right up there, man, at the top of being just so approachable, so nice, kind-hearted. You can just tell. Never has anything bad. Even when he walks, oh, you look so good. I like when people pat me on my back. He does it all the time. So he's a super great guy, and it's gonna be sad to see him go, but it is time. My next question, though, John, does Teixeira come up now at 205? Because if you look at the division, they're almost all strikers, and he cuts a ton of weight. I mean, that might be something. It might be
something you will see.
Yeah.
The real question is, who is Alex going to be fighting? Is it going to be Izzy in a rematch? We're going to find out. Who knows for sure? But it seems to me that right now, with the style of fighters, the only guy that I look at that I think can really cause, Alex trouble in that light heavyweight division is Ankalaev, because he does have the wrestling, and if he's smart, he's going to take him down and try to use his, ground game and stuff. But other than that, like you're saying, it's a bunch of strikers, a lot of guys that are good on the feet, a lot of guys that have power. Well, guess what? He matches up very well with all of those. So we're going to see. And you're right. He cuts so much weight. I don't know how he does it.
Yeah. But I mean, if you look, if I was to say him and Hill would be a great fight.
Oh, him and Hill, him and Spann.
Yeah, him and Spann. Yeah, I mean, it just makes sense. It makes sense when you look at that fight. Him and Jan Blachowicz would be a great fight.
Yep.
I think Jan would end up turning into a wrestler. We've seen him turn into a wrestler a couple of times, but
Jan's not stupid.
No, he's not dumb. Not at his age. He's like, I got this. All right, next fight.
All right, we had Brandon Moreno, the interim champion of the flyweight division, going against the guy who was the undisputed champion in Davison Figueiredo. And as you said, this was a matter about who was the most focused fighter, who was going to implement that style that worked for them when they got their win. And it was Brandon Moreno. Let's just be honest. I thought the second round, because of the guillotine attack, and it was tight. It wasn't all locked in as far as the placement of it. It was more on his jawline, which helped him survive it. But I think that's the reason the judges gave that round to Figueiredo, even though Brandon overall did a lot of good things in the second round. I thought he won the first round. Second round, you could have gone to Figueiredo, but he was turning it on, and you could see that one fighter was starting to just have problems. Everything seemed to be more effort, more trouble, getting hit harder. And then when the left hand came out, that punch that he threw, it's legal. His hand is balled up in a fist, and yes, that part of his thumb does hit his eye. Mm-hmm. It's legal. He didn't eye poke him, and I understand why. Figueiredo felt like he did it. Same thing. Tito Ortiz had that happen against Chuck Liddell back at UFC 47, right? And right away, he poked me in the eye. No, he did not. Keep fighting, and there's nothing you can do about it. Yeah. It is a legal punch, and it absolutely once that punch landed, that fight was over. Yeah. You could just see it in the body language, the way that Figueiredo was going about that fight. He was holding on at that point. There was no offensive attempt. You just look, and Brandon Moreno is a guy you look at and you go, he's not that special in anything. You know what he's special in? Heart. The kid's got heart, and he comes after you with everything he has, and he does have. He's got talent. I don't want to act like I'm saying he doesn't have it. He does. He's got a ton of talent, but it's all secondary to his heart.
He's not great at anything, but he's good everywhere. That's what makes him special. I think a lot of the best fighters in the world, they're not great at any one thing. What happens when you become great at just one thing, you rely on that a lot, whether it's knockout power, whether it's your wrestling, whether it's your kickboxing, whatever it is. You start to rely on that so much that it affects your performance because you get so dialed in on, I got to do this. I got to do this. No, Brandon Moreno can take this fight anywhere. He can stand. He can wrestle, as we saw last night. He has good top position. I would have liked to have seen him be a little bit busier on the top, but he was doing what he had to do. He was waiting for the refs to say, hey, get to work. And then he threw a couple shots, went back into work. He is, like I said, last week, he needed to be laser focused. He was laser focused on what the job was, on what he needed to do in the game plan, and he went out there and did it. Now, he's at a new camp, correct? Who's he with now?
He's with Fortis MMA.
And that's, I think, in the Dallas area, North Dallas area. I thought they brought him back to reality because I think his last fight, right, fight 3, was with James Krause, is what you were saying?
No, James Krause was his fight with Cara France.
Okay, okay, so that was his last fight. Okay.
Yes.
But his third fight with him, he just seemed to be out there having fun, enjoying it. But when you do that, you're not focused on the person who's in front of you, who's the obviously the most dangerous person in your division. That's why you guys are fighting for the title. And he just didn't have that in that third fight with Figgy. This time around, back to what he was in the second fight. Not to be distracted, not worried about anything. Just let me implement my game plan. And it came through and it showed. He fought a fantastic fight. And moving forward, I don't see anybody in that division as of right now that I think could beat him. I don't see it. His wrestling was on point last night. His striking was on point last night. His composure. What he needs to do is just keep that same mentality and grow on it. Don't get distracted. In going into that third fight, John, with Figgy, he was allowing, you could see it. He was at every UFC event. He was allowing everything to happen. Like he was loving it. He was enjoying being the champion, which he should. But he carried that into the cage for his third fight, and he just didn't show up. He didn't fight as well as we know he could fight.
No doubt about it. He oh man, I'll tell you. I do think there's a guy out there that can give him problems though. And there's two that match up well. You know, Pantoja's already beaten him. Yeah. Now that was a long time ago. Mm-hmm. Okay, but he has beaten him, and he does have the skill set to cause problems for him. Doesn't mean that he's going to get the win, but he can. So there's that fight right there, and Mateus is another one that you look at and you go, yeah, good ground game, good stand-up game, you know, got a good engine. It matches up well. Doesn't mean that, you know, he's going to beat Brandon, but, you know, right now Brandon's in that position. He's got to maintain that focus like you're talking about, in that, hey, this is not the top. Yeah, I'm on top of the hill, but the hill goes up higher, and I've got to keep going up that hill and keep people from being able to catch me. And if he does that, if he has that right mindset, if he goes to Fortis with Saud and he learns things and continues to grow, look, he's going to be the champion there for a while.
I agree. But let's get into Figgy, though. So Figgy, to me, when I had heard that he didn't go train with Henry, and the reasons why he didn't go train with Henry is like, when I was there, I was lonely. It's about
being lonely, dude.
Yeah, it's fighting. Your family's not getting in that cage with you.
Nope.
I know fighters like to say, I couldn't have done it without my family. In that cage, it's you and that person in front of you. And sure, maybe you couldn't have done it without their support, but you had a great performance when you fought him the third fight. You shouldn't have gotten away from it. I mean, you looked physically. He looked like a specimen. Yeah. When I saw him on the scale, when I saw him in his training montage video, I was like, "Holy shit! Who is this guy? Just ripped and shredded. He got muscles on muscles, man. I mean, like Big John, muscle on muscles." But it really just came down to, when you can't separate what you want and what you need, it's really hard to be champion. You've got to have that mindset. You hear fighters all the time say, fighting is a selfish sport. And there's a reason. You've got to put everything else aside. Your wife, your kids, you got to say, hey, I got to go do this. I got to do. That's why you hear fighters talk about, I left my family for 12 weeks. I left my family for 8 weeks, 6
and it's
weeks,
hard.
Whatever it is. It's hard.
It's hard.
It's
but
hard.
What you need to look at and say, why are you doing it? Well, there's a reason why you're leaving your family for that amount of time. There's a reason why you're kind of lonely. There's a reason why you miss, the things from home. It's because you are in a place that is going to prepare you to keep your family living in the lifestyle that you want. to keep that ability for you to, you know what, have everything that you have, you've got to put that in your mind. Yeah, I have to suffer so I can prosper. And I thought when I heard that he wasn't back at, Fight Red, I was like, that's probably not a good idea.
Yeah.
But he did look good, and I was like, well, he's in shape. There's no doubt. He got the Pitbull's, nutritionist and strength and conditioning guy,
Mm-hmm.
and the guy obviously did a good job as far as doing his job. Mm-hmm. It's just that you need to have that mental approach of, when this guy's doing this is what I need to be doing, and you have to have those people there that are behind you that you're believing in. Mm-hmm. And you could just see it as that fight started to roll on. And it was honestly, from that point of when he lost that guillotine, it just, you could look at it. There was a difference in the way he fought that fight from that point on.
Yeah, his takedown defense wasn't the same in this fight. His ability to touch and deliver power and then circle out and land again, cut the corners, that wasn't there. The last thing on this part of the topic that I wanted to say,
there is one more thing on my side too.
Is there? Okay, so like for me, is when you know that it's the fourth fight, you're not fighting this guy for a long time. I don't. Maybe they are going to fight again, but I don't see them fighting for a long time. Just knowing that, why would you not go and train where you had a good performance? Why would you not go train with Henry Cejudo? Henry's also getting ready for a fight too right now.
Yep.
Why would you not go? You know, the mentality is we're gonna be working together. We're gonna be grinding on each other. We're gonna be trying to push each other. I'm gonna learn from you on the takedown defense. I'm gonna learn from you on the game plan. I'm gonna learn from all these things. It doesn't make sense to me. Like he really couldn't put his own needs aside for him to achieve this goal. That told me everything I needed to know.
Yeah, the one thing that you saw in there, that he was poking at Brandon. He was trying to use, a psychological advantage. You could see it in the weigh-ins. You could see when they would face off, touching him, pushing him, all those things. And when you saw Brandon Moreno not respond to one of them, it told you, hey, you could say anything you want. You push me, big deal. And this is exactly what we talk about. I get to get into a cage and punch you in the middle of the fucking face, and I'm going to do it. You know what? And so all this bullshit that you're doing, you're not getting in my head. And that was a big difference maker. And I think that in a way, it worked against Figueiredo. I think in a way, he looked at it like, it didn't work. Yeah. He was trying to make it work, and it didn't.
Yep, because in the third fight, he was able to kind of pick at him a little bit, and then you could see Moreno go. Like, he would do things like this. Like, I got it. Oh, like, look away. Like, it didn't hurt me. Those kind of things. You didn't get any of that in this fight.
Nope.
It got, you hit me, I'm going to hit you back. It was just, he really was coming after him to win the fight.
That's it.
It's good, great performance by Brandon Moreno, and we'll keep it going, man. Next fight.
Gilbert Burns comes out and just decimates Neil Magny on the ground. And this is, we talked about this, and we said, look, Neil's chance in this is to use the length, stick and move, try to give you that conditioning that he has, and just keep putting shots on Gilbert, make Gilbert miss. We knew the power, as far as the punching power, went to Gilbert, and we knew, like, as much as I talk about how good a ground game Neil Magny has, and he does. He has got just a dynamite ground game for the MMA, field. It's not going to touch Gilbert Burns, and that was evident when it hit the ground. Gilbert, when you're looking at, we talk about levels, and you watch what Gilbert Burns did when they hit the ground, some of the body positions he put himself in, how he advanced from one position to the next. You go, yeah, and that's why you've been a world champion that many times. Yeah. Just what it was.
All the fight stuff aside, Darino, please. What's with the hair, brother? What's with the hair, dude? Brother, man.
You didn't like the longer
No,
hair?
I didn't like it, brother.
On,
it just threw me off. I was like, what the fuck is going on? Doesn't even, dude, he's got when he gets faded up nice and tight, He looks good, man. He looks good. But man,
what are you doing checking out other guys for? What is with you, man?
I'm pretty secure in my manhood, bro.
Well, I don't know,
I'm
dude.
pretty
I'm
secure.
telling you, why don't you put those glasses back on?
I'm pretty secure in my manhood. But exactly kind of what we said. Gilbert had the power. He had the speed, obviously the speed advantage. I didn't expect him to be able to lift him up and slam him down as easy as he did.
No.
I didn't expect that because
it's not easy to elevate a guy that's that long compared to you.
Exactly what I was gonna say. Yep.
Man.
Because I've trained with guys. I trained with this kid named anyways, his name's irrelevant. He never, but he fought at 155, but he was 6'4", and trying to get him down was such a pain in the ass. I had to go high crotch lift and then just kind of dump him forward,
swing it to one side, back to the other.
But even when he did go forward, his hands and his legs and arms were so long that he was pretty much like waist high when he posted his hands and his feet. So that sucked. But when he lifted him, took him down, I was like, oh, this is not good. Like he made that look so easy. The strength, the obviously the grappling and the speed and the power on the feet kind of had Neo backing up, putting his back to the fence, which is going to make it easier for him to get takedowns had he gotten up.
Yeah.
But overall, dominant, great performance, exactly what you want to see from your number 3 or number 2 or whatever ranked he is now. I know he got stepped over by someone and he's pissed about it, but I think he's number 4 now. By Bilal. Oh, he's number 5. He's number 5.
He got stepped over by Bilal.
I mean, look, John,
that'd be a great fight, though.
There's no other fight to make besides him and Bilal or him and Colby Covington. There's no other fight to make.
I agree.
You know, I mean, I would want to see. I mean, you have Usman fighting next, which he deserves. I would like to see Chimaev and Covington, but it seems like Covington's going to be taking some time off. I mean, he's coming up on pushing probably about a year now, not fighting.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is it?
When did he fight last? Unless you include a restaurant.
The street. Unless you include the street.
Dang, it's March.
Yeah, March.
March, right? Yeah. That's Podcast Dave's hero right there. Colby Covington.
It's frustrating he's not fighting.
Yeah, it is frustrating. I mean, the thing is, he's still young. He's not utilizing his time to get as many fights in as possible and make as much. Oh, he's not young. Sorry, he's 34. He's just the same age as Anthony Smith. John. Same age as Anthony Smith.
I was thinking Anthony Smith was older, just like Colby Covington. I don't think he's that young. Well, he's 34.
Well, it's because he fucking acts like a 4-year-old. That's why. Anyways, I mean, don't get me wrong. He's talented. He's good. But the fights that they have lined up for him right now, he was going to have to fight him and Dorino, him and Bilal, and him and Chimaev. Those are not fights he wants. Those aren't fights that, those aren't fights he wants. So anyways, overall, Gilbert's going to move on, and so we'll see who he ends up fighting next, man. But either it's going to be Bilal or might even be just, I think, who knows, man.
I can see him and Bilal. I don't think Colby's going to be fighting anytime soon.
I want to see Chimaev and Colby.
I'd like to see that too.
Let's go.
All right, Jessica Andrade. She looked okay in this fight. Little slow, missed a lot of shots, barely squeaked it out. Okay, I'm lying about everything. She just destroyed Lauren Murphy. Walked through Lauren. Again, I hate to say it, when we, how one-sided it was. Man, I think DC and Paul Felder, when we're talking about just how tough you are, that's not a good thing. And they're right. It's not a good thing. But it does say something about your character because, man, Lauren Murphy, just tough as nails. She was taking a lot of shots, some big shots. And, I'm just, I guarantee you, her face today is a mass of freaking swelling and bruising. And she, the scores, there was 2 10-8 rounds on 2 of the judges' scorecards in that one. And this is not like she got dominated on the ground. This is all on the feet, where you don't see the 10-8s coming quite as much, especially when there's not knockdowns. And there really wasn't knockdowns in the fight for the most part. It was just a domination of the action, the shots, the power, everything. Just
Yeah.
You got to give it up for Jessica Andrade, someone that is jumping up and down from 115 to 125. This one at 125. That's not an easy thing to do, and she's doing it very well.
Yeah, she possesses the power. She's got that aggressiveness. I think she's physically strong. She's got all the things that she needs to do to bounce from weight to weight. I mean, she's not a tall, long, lanky fighter.
She got a crunched structure.
And you're going to find that those fighters that can do that are the ones that are shorter in stature because they put the muscle on pretty well and they take the muscle off if they need to. So she's doing a good job. I just look at the end game for her at 125. I don't see where it goes. I mean, everyone's going to end up meeting at the top of Valentina, and that's not a fight that anyone really can win right now, as of right now. Yeah. Valentina may go somewhere else. Who knows? Maybe Weili will come up and fight her, but I don't see Weili beating her either. And then you move on to if she goes back up and fights Amanda. I mean, I think right now she's got a good chance of beating Amanda. Just my personal opinion. I think she's got a good chance. But she's got to put the weight back on properly, and if that will affect her performance at all of her having to carry that extra weight. She's been fighting at 125 for years now.
Yep. And
doing a great job, but she's wiped out the division. To get into the Lauren Murphy situation, I mean, I've already said everything I can about Jessica. She's fought a great fight. Good job. But Lauren Murphy, you need to not evaluate like your career. You need to reevaluate your corners. Your corners need to have a conversation, and you need to have a sit down with them and say, look, one of them's her husband.
Yep.
You'll find, and I'm all for giving fighters every chance. But if in that going between that second and third round, her corners and her husband should have said, hey, I'm going to give you 1 minute or a minute 30, whatever it is. Give me a time. Show me you can change this fight. If you can't, right now you're target practice.
Yeah.
I'm not going to take this much longer. And it got, to me, the third round was just as bad as the first two. Just as bad, if not worse. I mean, she was taking some big shots.
Yes.
Big shots, John. And so if I'm her and if I'm from outside looking in, family members, anything like that, you guys need to have a big sit down with each other and be like, hey, when do we say is enough? Because I felt the same way about the Glover fight a little bit in that fifth round.
Difference.
Yes, very true. You're fighting for the title. I think the understanding was that this was Glover's last fight. If he lost, the corner probably already all knew. You got to let this guy go out on his shield.
John Hackelman wanted to throw the
yes,
towel.
I know.
He would have if he was the main corner. He would have done it.
Yeah. And so when I look at Lauren Murphy's corners, and I said this, I think, about some other fighters as well from back in the day, you need to, as a corner, your job is to protect them, not worry about whether you hurt their feelings or not by stopping their fight. You need to protect them for longevity in this sport. They cannot make money if they can't fight because they got brain damage, because we're going to deal with a lot of issues later on in our lives. Let's not speed this process up by letting her take unnecessary damage in a round or in a fight that she was never going to win. And I don't like to say that word never, but the thing is, she was not anywhere near getting a takedown. Never. And she was way slower on the feet. She was throwing punches in ones, maybe ones and twos. They weren't getting there. She was missing. Had Jessica Andrade turned that pace up, she could have got her out of there. That's what I didn't like about Jessica Andrade's performance. She could have got her out of there because I think at the end of the second, she hit her with a barrage of punches for about 4 or 5 seconds. Had she done that earlier, the fight would have been stopped. But she didn't. She hit her, moved around, 1, 2, 3, boom, moved around. As a ref, you have to see what's going on. I blame a little bit of the ref too. You've got to see what's going on. I get what you're going to say. You're going to say, she got rocked, but then she didn't follow up. She got rocked, but she didn't follow up. I get that, but John, you got to see the writing on the wall, man.
Stop. I'm not saying you're wrong. Okay. I agree with you.
Yeah.
But
Thank you.
Look, there's all kinds of ways of achieving a task. And I'm going to take you back, long ago. It was someone you trained with, Paul Buentello.
Yeah.
I stopped one of his fights, but I didn't stop it by just going between the guys and waving my arms off, because I couldn't. Because Paul was doing exactly what Jessica Andrade was doing. He was landing boom, boom, and back off, and boom, 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 and back off. And he was basically in this position where he knows fundamentally, I am so much better at the stand-up right now than my opponent. And his opponent at the time was Kirill Sadilnikov. And in that, Kirill was considered the baby Fedor. He was Fedor's protege. He was undefeated, I believe, at the time. And Paul was lighting him up. And eventually, I'm the one that stopped it. I just did it in a way that no one understood. And that's what Osiris Maya, who was the referee for this fight, should have done. He just didn't know how to do it. And there's levels to everything. And when you go through these things, you learn how to manipulate things so you're protecting the fighter, but you're not making it look bad in that, oh, you're taking away. People need to understand when you're looking at this, and this is what you're talking about. I want you to look at this fight and say, what part of this, as we look through the first round and second round, is there any doubt about who won those rounds? No doubt, right? Even, I'm not going to say the name, even certain judges we know couldn't have given it to Lauren Murphy. Okay, so there's no way that she won.
Oh, give us some time. Crosby could have fucked it up.
There you go. So there's no way. And you could even say 10-8 rounds. Okay, she had 10-8 rounds from the standing there. So you take a look at that. You know right now. Okay, going into the third round, I have a fighter who has shown me, and these are the things as a referee you have to be asking yourself as this fight is going on. All right, does Lauren Murphy have a puncher's chance in this fight? Does she have the ability to knock out Jessica Andrade? Well, she showed me no, she doesn't have that. She doesn't have that ability because she's too slow to even touch her. Every time she's throwing and she's trying to throw, she's getting countered and being hurt with those counters. So she doesn't have the puncher's chance. Okay, does she have a grappler's chance? Can she take this fight to the ground? Well, she's shown that twice in it, she's been able to get behind her and loses the position every time quickly. She doesn't have the ability to even get the fight to the ground. So if she can't get the fight to the ground, grappler's chance is? No, it's not there. Yeah. Okay, does she have a chance on the scorecards? Is there a possibility? And when you look and you go, not even close. Well, how does she win this fight? So the longer that I let her stay in the fight, what happens? Oh, and people go, well, you never know. She has a chance. No, you do know at a certain point. The fighter's been hit so many times and just diminished in their ability and damaged so severely that they don't have that chance. And you have to be smart enough to be able to pick that out and say, all right, I'm going to get her out of this fight. It may not be the way that, everyone would just, think about it, just stepping in there and then giving people that excuse. I'm going to use the doctor. I'm going to do things smart to say, hey, this fight is over. I'm not going to let you take abuse just so you can get to the end, which is the same L. There's no difference in it.
Yeah. I agree. I think that there needs to be a conversation with her corners too on when they need to understand what has to take place. Like exactly what you were just talking about. They need to see, is she able to hit her? Is she able to knock her out? Is she able to submit her? Is she able to get her down? If she's not able to do any of those things, she hasn't had any success whatsoever in any of those areas, then they need to really consider,
how do you win the fight?
This is not our night. Let's just close this thing down. And yeah,
sometimes, Josh, sometimes you give it everything you have. You give it your best, and your best is never going to be good enough on that night.
Yeah.
Not against that person.
No, I get it. I've had a couple of those nights. It sucks. All right, next.
All right, we had Johnny Walker coming out, starting the show off against Paul Craig. I know that Podcast Dave has been shedding Scottish tears for hours now because his man did not get the win like he wanted. You look at Johnny Walker, and we talked about him earlier, and I said, look, he has changed the way he is approaching the fight. He has the different team. He is fighting much smarter. Physically, if you're looking at a guy that is physically got gifts, Johnny Walker is one of them. As far as he is long, he's physically strong, he's got power. You know, he's got a lot of things going for him. Now, his chin has been damaged, you know, in the past, and he's taken big shots. You know, you take a look at his last knockout loss was to the guy who's now the champion, in Jamal Hill. That was a huge knockout. It's nasty, and that's always going to have some effect on your career. But you can get these things back by not allowing people to damage you. And in his recent fights, he really hasn't taken any abuse. And this fight against Paul Craig, it was about, well, obviously, don't go to the ground with the guy. I'm going to stay on the feet as much as possible, use my length, and just pick him apart. And that's what he did. And when Paul really went for that takedown, getting in on the leg, you know, you see Walker throw the kick, Paul catches the leg. Man, he ate some big shots. And you can see at one point on that one hammer fist as he was on the ground, he almost went out. You know, and a lot of people are going to complain about, oh, it was an early stoppage. Nope. Paul Craig was. When you are a professional fighter and you have now resorted to doing what I see schoolyard kids do, in that I'm going to hold on to a leg because it's all I can do at this point to try to survive and try to hide. You're no longer fighting. You're not intelligently defending yourself. You're showing me that you have been overwhelmed by somebody. It's time to stop the fight. I didn't think it was a bad stoppage at all.
No, it was going to get worse.
Yep.
You know, and I like Paul Craig a lot.
So do I.
I think he's a fantastic fighter. I think he works miracles with the tools that he has in terms of his grappling, pretty much only his grappling. Doesn't have great wrestling. Doesn't have great foot sweeps.
Doesn't have superior speed.
He's not super fast. He's actually kind of small for the weight, even though he's a fucking mountain of a man. He's Johnny Walker's huge. And Podcast Dave was saying, I think it's time for him to go to 85. I don't think he can make 85. You see how lean he is already? I know he doesn't put a lot of weight back on, but for him to cut down to 85, he fucking be chopping off one of his legs.
Speed factor.
Yeah. You know, and he has a hard time with good strikers. So if you put him, like you said, with Jamal Hill, but like he got that win. Jamal Hill made a mistake. He got the arm bar, broke the arm. But if you go in, you look at the 185-pound division, you got Pereira, you got fucking Izzy, you got Paul Casa, you got guys that will stand, Whitaker, you got guys that will stand and bang you up and got better takedown defense than a lot of these guys at 205.
And they're faster.
Yeah, they're faster. They're faster. So it's not something I don't think it's not really probably an option for him. He needs to work. He really needs to find a gym or not find a gym. He needs to find a couple good wrestlers that he can bring in that will work with him on his takedowns. His single leg, his double leg, his body lock, all of those things will help him get to the back. He just hasn't done it yet. He just seems like the guy that's just content with, let me grab the leg and try to lift it. Well, he got fucking rocked by Walker when he had the leg up. Just bam on the side. That really what started it all, that very first shot.
Dude, that right hand hit him hard.
Yeah,
I don't care if he was on one leg because all the motion, all that body weight was going forward.
Yeah. No, it was good. Johnny Walker, he's walking proof right now that you need to find yourself a gym and a coach that click with you, that really can get into your mindset and get you to start seeing things in their vision that will make you the best fighter you can be. Because John Kavanagh has done a fantastic job with Johnny Walker. Him changing his thought process, changing the narrative on how he needs to fight all these fights. Stuffing takedowns first, then keeping it on the feet, not trying to go out there and be a showman. The one knock I have on John Kavanagh, man, tell him to stop doing that stupid watermelon crawl, whatever the hell that thing is at the end of
the worm.
The worm, whatever it is.
He jumps down, starts to go, don't do it. You're gonna separate your shoulder again.
Don't. Jeez, man. That's like
Davy Jones has done a great job with his stand-up, though, getting him to understand how to use that length, because he really didn't understand how to do it properly, and he's really coming along with that. So Jones got to get some credit in there.
Good fight, though. Good fight. by him. All right, next.
Broke my heart. Just all I want to say. Just broke my heart. Mauricio Shogun Hua in his last fight, taking it on Ihor Potieria. I saw a lot of people were very upset with Ihor Potieria and the way he reacted as far as his in-cage
Antics.
Antics and the talk. And yeah, let's just be honest. I would have liked to have seen someone that said, hey, I want to celebrate. I want to jump up and down, but I would just want to say that, I can't do that based upon the guy that I was able to come in here and compete against, because that guy's a legend. And I was just lucky enough to be able to get a win against him. And that would have shot Ihor up as far as people loving him and things like that. But sometimes, those things don't happen. But Mauricio just, 41 years of age. He's not the same fighter he was, but at one time, Josh, that dude was a monster.
Oh, yeah. John, we can go through, like, when they showed the montage of all of his fights, even from the Pride days, I was like, oh, my gosh. Yeah. I remember watching him destroy Quentin Jackson.
Oh, my, I couldn't believe when he destroyed. I was watching that fight with a bunch of guys, and we were doing fights, and we were trying to, and we're watching it, and I was like, Quentin's going to get him. You watch. Quentin's going to get him. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
He destroyed Quentin.
He annihilated him.
Oh, my God. It was just unbelievable how much damage he put on Quentin in a short amount of time.
Yeah. I mean, I look at some of his past fights. I'm like, man, he's fought everybody, John.
Yeah.
He didn't shy away from anyone. And I also feel like him coming to the UFC, it wasn't towards the end of his career that he came.
No.
But when he came, the shootbox way was the Pride way.
Yeah.
Something was lacking, something was missing for them to not be able to do the step through the guard, face stomps. The way they threw the legs to the side and stepped around and soccer kicked you in the head. Like, that took away a lot of their natural fighting style. Yeah. And they never were really the same when they got to the UFC. It was and don't get me wrong, I know he went on to become champion. That's just because he's a champion, no matter where. Yeah, that's how good he is. But to say that him and Vanderlei and everyone else that came out of the shootbox or came out of Pride, they lost something. They lost that. I don't know if it's. I feel like it's a little bit of the aggression that comes naturally to them. They weren't allowed to use. It's that thought process they had to use. Am I going to break the rules? Oh, is this a penalty? Like, they seemed to step behind once they got to the UFC. And it wasn't the UFC fighters. It was legit just they fought for years with the ability to chase after you, trying to stomp after your head or stomp your body or kick you or whatever it was.
They were trying to kick your head no matter where it was on the ground, up in the air. It didn't matter. They were going to throw stuff out. They were going to jump up in the air and try to stomp on you. They were going to use anything they could to do damage to you. I always look at it. I totally agree with you in that, things change fighters and they change their abilities to actually get the win. I did that with, I'm going to say, when people don't going back in time and what was occurring with the UFC, between UFC 14 and 15, there was a rule change. And I was the one that came up with all of those rules. And it was, it was because the UFC was off of cable. There was a guy named Leo Hendry that was in charge of Time Warner at the time, and he was the president, and he had taken the UFC off. And so we went to them, and I had a new rule set. And part of the rule set, I put in things that were stupid, just trying to add rules. Small joint manipulation was, a rule. You couldn't, bend one finger or anything like that. But I also used, pressure point attacks, which was like stupid. Okay. But it sounded good, but one of the things that I got rid of two of the things I got rid of One was groin attacks, because at the time you could actually attack the groin and not, it was not a foul. And the other was headbutts. Something you know very well about.
Yes.
right. But the headbutt, and then I want you to think about it. Mark Coleman. I knew, and as I was sitting there, doing this, and then going and talking to Art Davey, who was part of it, and then Bob Meyerowitz, who was the owner of the UFC, I said, hey, I need you to understand, if you go with what I have here, you're going to change certain guys' careers. And I said, and the one is one of your kind of stars in Mark Coleman. I said, Mark Coleman uses, I said, look, he's a monster of a guy, but he uses the fact that he can take you down, he can be in your guard, you can tie up his arms, and he's going to take his head and smash your head with his head. I said, and he does it the right way. He turns his head to the side and he uses that. I go, and he makes you let go of his arm so he can pound on you. Yeah. I go, it's effective. It fucking works. And now you're going to make his fights more boring because he's not going to be able to do that. And they said, doesn't matter. We're doing this. And I knew right then and there, I go, I just fucked Mark Coleman. Yeah. I didn't do it, personally, but I knew in a way it was what I was doing was going to affect his career. And I think it did. I really do think it did, and Mark still had a great career, but it wasn't the same. And it's the same as what you're talking about with Shogun Rua.
Yeah. I mean, it's like when you take, even it can go the other way around though, too, with DJ. You're adding strikes.
Yeah.
That you're not used to when DJ went over to one. The knee to the head on the ground, a grounded opponent. Like those type of things. Sure, you might be able to implement them yourselves and add them in. Maybe it came naturally for you, for DJ to go over there and start throwing knee strikes to the head, to the ground opponent. But defending them is also different. You're not expecting it to come. You're not, for the last 5, 6, 7 years, whatever, you haven't had to defend that. So there's different ways of looking at it. It can change. It does change, I believe, a fighter. And not all fighters can make that adjustment. And I think with the Pride days, those fighters were known, especially Shogun. He was the first guy I'd ever seen grab the legs and split them and step between and try to
stomp you in the face.
Stomp, try to hit you underneath the chin and then roll you up into your face. I mean, he was trying to put his toes down your throat.
Yep.
I mean, it was nasty. So he was one of the first guys, if not the first guy, to do that, use that technique. And damn, that was effective. People forget about his brother. His brother was nasty.
Murillo.
Ninja was nasty, man. He was just small for the weight, and he ended up, as the fighters got better, he started having some big issues. But I mean, these guys were good, and the rule set when they came to the UFC, that changed them a little bit. They weren't the same fighters, but he still had a fantastic career, still became a champion. Shogun did, and this is another one. I felt like he fought a little bit too long.
He did.
But I'm okay. I'm okay with where he's at right now. Hopefully it didn't affect him. I get the look on his face though. John, maybe you can help me with this. Do you notice when fighters, after they've taken a little bit of damage, or not a lot of damage, certain fighters have a specific look on their face that never changes?
No doubt about it.
You've got Evander Holyfield. There's other what's it called? The one that fought Muhammad Ali, Joe Frazier. He had that same look. Obviously, Ali had some other issues, but they have that blank stare and almost like motion. The face doesn't move, and it kind of droops a little bit. The eyes droop, the face droops, and it's not just because they're old.
No,
but I see Shogun, and he has a little bit of that, and I'm like, it's time, man. Like when you start seeing that, you went past your time.
Yeah, you can see things in guys. You can really see them in their motions when they're moving. Now, it's fun. Josh, I had a friend. His name was Mike Quarry, and Mike was a light heavyweight boxer. His brother Jerry Quarry fought Muhammad Ali.
Got it.
Yeah, and Mike fought Bob Foster for the light heavyweight world title and stuff. And I worked with Mike later on in his life and stuff, and we would spar, just joking around. We'd get in and spar. And Mike was a guy that he would walk, just walking. You would see his knees shake, and he just and he made fun of it all the time and stuff like that. But you could see it. But as soon as he started sparring, dude, it just came back, and he looked like he had flow. He all of a sudden became smooth. And as soon as he stopped, he went back to the herky-jerky, the way he would move. And, you knew, hey, he's been hit way too many times, taken too much damage. His brother had that same problem. And you can see it in guys. And there comes a point where, it's irreversible. And it's, things are not going to get better. Fighters are always going to believe that they got one more. Let me get one more win. The problem is once they get the one more win, they want one more win.
I can still do it. I can still do it. Yeah,
that's it. And there comes a point. It's got to be. Again, I don't want to put the UFC down anyway. I understand why they gave him the fight, but I wish they would have. I really wish they would have. But I'm glad. He's called it a career. He's a Hall of Famer. He deserves to be recognized for the career that he's had. And I just my thing, same as I said at Glover, man, thank you for all of the years and the fights and just the highlights that you created, man. You were a fucking monster.
Agree. You brought up the Mike Quarry thing, and it's funny, and not in a head trauma type way, but Kurt Angle, very much the same way. You watch him walk, you're like, what the fuck, dude? How did you do anything? Get him on the wrestling mat, he's just fucking cutting angles, shucking you by, fucking just throwing you around. You're like, sitting in the same.
Hell's that guy?
Who's that old guy fucking moving? Who is that? Oh shit, it's Kurt Angle. Fuck. What the fuck? And then you watch him walk out of there.
As soon as he walks out of the room, you go.
He's all hunched over and just like, he's
kind
like
of broken
walks.
looking.
He walks with like his knees are always bent. They're never straight when he walks. They're always like kind of like, he looks like all kind of just crippled back up. I'm just like, what the hell?
That's because he is.
Yeah. All right, let's get into the next fight.
Oh my God, this was a fight that we had never seen. Bruno Ferreira in the UFC. This was his coming out fight against a guy in Gregory Rodriguez that we knew had power, good ground game. But the Hulk comes through. That was one big shot. But I just look at it and it's like it's exactly what happened to Rodriguez in his last fight. He was able to recover in it, but this one he wasn't put out fast. And big time win for Bruno.
Yeah,
I'd seen him fight before. He's obviously he's got a good ground game. He's got a really stifling ground game too, but he's got power in his hands. He's just not that big a frame for the weight class. So, but that was a great win against a really good guy.
Big time win, huge win. Straight left, right down the pipe. Caught him right on the right at the mouth, but then right on getting the jaw to go back.
That jaw gets shoved back like that, lights out.
And then you could see the ripples down Rodriguez's neck in the highlight. You're like, oh shit, that's not good. Yeah. I mean, he was out before he hit the ground. Then he hit his head on the ground. There was no reason for the follow up. Great job by Bruno. Next,
Thiago Moises against Costa. Costa came in, man. He really put on a good performance. I watched Costa in LFA. Saw that he's good everywhere. He's got a good ground game. I've seen him really dismantle guys on the ground. I've seen him with a good stand-up game. He's aggressive in the stand-up. There's just levels to everything, and when you meet a guy who is got the same thing, I'm not doing well here. Something is freaking wrong with my thing. There we go. Moises has been there, and he's done it in the UFC. He was calm, relaxed. And he just knew it was time. Just give me some time with the guy. Let me start to. I just got to cook him for a little while, and that's what he did.
He looked a little frustrated in that first round.
Yeah,
he looked a little frustrated in that first round, like he's having a hard time getting the fight to the ground. But as the fight went on, after he got the takedown, I think at the end of the first, the rest of it was history. He just started grinding, getting on him. He knew. But look, this is also a tough task for Costa to come in, and and fight someone like Moises, who's fought who's fought the who's who.
He's coming in and what Moises is still he's in the top. I know he's in the top 15. Is he in the top 10?
I don't think he's in the top 10.
But is
he in the top 15? I don't know if he is.
I would be
12,
surprised
13.
if he wasn't. No, he'd be lightweight. Where are you
he's
going?
lightweight.
Where are you going?
Sorry.
My
Lightweight.
God.
He doesn't even know who Moises is. That's why.
No,
He's not.
No, he's
in
not.
there.
Well,
Yeah.
He's dropped out of it. He was.
He's a tough task for anybody.
Yeah.
He's a good fighter.
He
Really
is
good,
a good
fighter.
fighter.
Good performance by him. He figured out the riddle. And it's always hard for someone like Moises to fight someone that hasn't been in the UFC. You've never really seen a whole lot of current footage on him. They come in there and then he figured out the riddle after the first round, came out second, third round, was very dominant.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Bonfim, beautiful guillotine, smart attack. Don't fight another man's fight. The other guy, very good in the stand-up. You get the chance, go for that. He did.
Beautifully done.
Going to talk about him and his brother in a second. Gelton Almeida, as a heavyweight, 232 pounds, shows why. You know what? 232 pounds is a good weight class and good weight for a heavyweight. He's got gas, takes Shamil down and dominates him throughout. And it's not easy. People don't understand. Josh, you've worked out with big guys, at times and stuff.
I've rolled you up a couple times, yeah.
Well, we'll see again.
I mean, you rolled down the hill a couple times, but I rolled you up.
Well, we're gonna do the same thing then. It's not easy to keep a big man on his back if he doesn't want to be there.
Yeah,
it's it takes a lot of skill, even when you're big, because it's just their ability to use, especially early in the fight, not later on in the fight, but early in the fight, not easy to do. And the one thing that I really loved that I saw out of Almeida, the movement that he has, he doesn't try to hold a bad position. He moves himself. He feels this is getting bad. Let me move. And he moves himself and it becomes a better position. And that's what you want to see out of guys that are going to use the ground as their way to get a win. And he's doing that. He kept a very big, strong guy, a guy that is a good wrestler, comes from, a background of wrestling, and made him look like he didn't know how to get anywhere on the ground. I was really impressed by Almeida. That's the third fight in a row that I've watched that I go, man, this guy could be somebody.
John, when you start putting heavyweights that can grapple or wrestle,
not many can.
That whole division's on notice right now. I mean, I know he's got a long ways to go. He's gonna have to build up. He's gonna get some, more higher ranked fighters. But the way he dominated that fight last night, everywhere. He dominated everywhere. Rolling the wrist, putting the heavy pressure, mount, back, landing some strikes, passing half guard. Like, he was just all over him. Yeah. And he just dominated the position. You start putting him against guys like a Cyril Gahn, make fun of like a Tom Aspinall, him and Tom Aspinall, because Aspinall's good on the ground as well. I know Tom's going to come back. But I'm talking down the line, you guys. Not next fight, not 2 fights. Give him like 3 or 4 more fights. But this new, younger, hybrid heavyweight is more athletic, is also eager to learn the ground game, eager to learn some wrestling. The older heavyweights were all about just knockouts. Let's just knock you out if I can't. They're not to take anything away from them. They're the Derek Lewises. They're the Rosenstrucks. They're the guys that, okay, I've got big power. I'm going to stand with you. Getting takedowns is too much effort. That's the past. You're seeing now. You're seeing the Cyril Gahns. You're seeing the Tom Aspinalls. You're seeing the Almeidas. You're seeing this new generation of fighters. Bellator has Moldavsky. I know Brian Bader's older, but he can wrestle. Moldavsky's that younger hybrid type heavyweight. That's what you're going to start seeing, I believe, in this heavyweight division. You're going to start seeing more of them than you are from the old days of the heavier belly sticking over the pants kind of thing.
Hey, watch that belly talk, man. Belly is nothing but a large gas tank.
Yes. That's always running on empty, by the way.
Got to fill it.
But Almeida, I look for him to, if he can make sure that his wrestling stays on track, growing the wrestling, and then utilizing that top position, that grappling, he's kind of a replacement for Verdum, if you think about it, right?
Yeah.
Like, the heavyweight division always had Verdum, and they had someone that was a good grappler, Nogueira, a good grappler, that just was good at just implementing their game plan, dominating people from the top position, getting submissions or pulling guard, and then hitting the submissions from there. Almeida's someone who I think is going to be a top position type fighter, where he just dominates you from the top once he gets you down. It's going to be interesting to see how high he's able to go. What's the ceiling on him in the heavyweight division? Because I think it's going to be pretty high.
Yeah. Cody Stamen got the win. I'm going to go to Israel Bonfim against Terrence McKinney, because this was the fight that I really looked at, and I had watched Bonfim fight before and was really impressed by him. But this being his first fight in the UFC in front of that crowd, it's like, well, Terrence McKinney being very fast, being explosive. I really thought, people I was watching the fights with, they say, who's going to win this? I go, well, if it's in the first round, Terrence McKinney. If it goes past the first round, I think Bonfim's going to win it. Right? It kind of went that way, and boy, I'll tell you what, Bonfim just kept bringing it and stepping it up. And as that fight was going on, Terrence McKinney was having more and more problems. Terrence McKinney is a dynamite athlete, but he's going to have to figure out how to control himself in the fight to where he's overthrowing all the time, Josh. He's missing the target at times. It's putting him out of position, and that's where Bonfim was really doing a lot of damage, was with some of those, extensions that were out of position. He ended up getting touched, and they just started to wear him down. And the knockout was it was beautifully done. That switch knee was a fantastic attack, but it was after he had rocked him with the hands, knocked the mouthpiece out. I mean, this kid looked great.
I didn't know Terrence McKinney wrestled at my alma mater, man. He wrestled at North Idaho College up there. Trevor Prangley wrestled there. Mike Whitehead wrestled there. There was a lot of top level wrestlers that wrestled out of there. I know that DC had went up there on a recruiting trip. He had told me several times that was he was thinking about going there. He ended up going to Colby College, I think is where he went, junior college. I thought, John, I'm not gonna lie, man, I never heard of either one of these Bonfim guys. So when
I had never seen Gabriel, but I had watched his brother in Ismail.
I never heard of either one of these guys. And so when I was like, oh, Terrence, if he can he's probably going to be able to get him out of there in the first round, use the speed, use the reach, the athleticism, all those things, stuff to take down, touch him with the hands. Terrence got he's got some power in his hands. Mm-hmm. He's got good wrestling. If he needs to get this fight to the ground, it wasn't even an option. It wasn't an option. Like his wrestling was good, but he couldn't get the fight to the ground. He wasn't able to control that top position if he did get it to the ground. He was the fighter that he didn't utilize his wrestling until he was already in trouble. Now, Bonfim, where I'm going to pat him on the back and do all these things about him. He stayed composed and he stayed loyal to where his hands were. He never let his hands get out there, out and about. Like you said with Terrence McKinney, missing strikes, loading up, overextending himself, all of those things. Bonfim didn't do that. He just stayed loyal to where he was. He reminded me a little bit of what's the one that just geez, man. He just had a great performance. Short, stocky guy. I think he fought at 135. Oh gosh. Who did he just knocked somebody out?
You're killing me.
Tattoos from Georgia. He's from Georgia. The country.
Marab is the one that you think of 135 from Georgia.
No. Gosh. Just fought like one or two fight cards ago. I think it was the last fight card he fought. Fought in the last fight. Anyways.
Umar?
No. Talks a lot of shit. From Georgia. Gosh.
Talks a lot of shit.
Here's the card.
Where's he at? Where's he at?
Going if it's the last fight card.
No, it's not that one then. Damn it. Scroll back up.
Let me see.
I think it starts with a T. Make it bigger. I can't see it.
Any of these guys?
He just fought. It had to have been on the last fight card, I think.
Had to be the last one?
Yeah, I think it was the last one. Anyways, he reminds me of him. Bonfim reminds me of him. Scroll. He's at the top. He's someone that was fighting. Not Danny. gosh, where
You
was
lost
he?
me on that one, dude.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You would know. Topuria.
Oh,
He reminds me a little bit of Topuria, the way
he's a
stays
45er.
Yeah, okay, whatever.
Damn it.
Anyways, I couldn't get it going. You guys calm down, CTE. Okay. I'm going to use that all the way every single time I can. It really just came down to, he reminded me of Topuria. He came aggressive. Punches came straight down the line, and then he loaded up with some shots, and he came back into just being loyal with his defense. I just saw a little bit of that aggressiveness, that confidence, that machismo look out of him that I saw in Topuria. Just like, no, you can't beat me. I'm going to walk you down. I don't care if you hit me with something. And he just systematically picked McKinney apart, man. He was just touching him, and then just started mixing up. That flying knee was beautiful. Beautiful.
Unbelievable. All right. Nicholas Dalby had a great fight against Warley Alves. I thought that was a good, glad the two judges gave it to Nicholas. He really came on. Nice third round. Other than that, yeah. Jose Nunez, really, man, fought in fighting Farron Dos Santos. Man, she's going against someone had reach, had all the attributes that we're looking at, knew how to use them, and she just said, I don't care. I'm going to walk into you, and I'm going to beat you down. And she ended up taking a fight that she never should have won, as far as you're taking a look at the two fighters. But she won it on heart. She won it on guts, and good for her, man.
All right. Well, hey, that's going to wrap up our UFC 283 talk. Let's go ahead and jump into some news. What do you got for us, Podcast Dave? Let's just pick out a couple stories.
Yeah, so here's what we're going to do. I have two pieces surrounding Francis and Ngannou and Tyson Fury. It's kind of like a combo, but also separate.
Comboing.
We have a ton of fight announcements, right? So what we're going to do is, since we have, I kind of looked over the upcoming UFC card for next weekend. Outside of the main event, not a ton of like big fights to mention. So we'll save these fight announcements to get you guys previews on these fight announcements in the midweek show. So make sure you guys have that bell clicked so you guys know when that midweek show drops. We'll cover like the Valentina announcement and a ton of other fights that were announced as well. We'll put those in the midweek show for you guys. We'll talk about Francis and Tyson on this show. Sound good?
John's drinking a fucking monster at 9 in the morning there. 8 or 9 in the morning. What time is it there? 8?
8 now.
Jeez, 8 a.m. 8 a.m. He's got a monster.
I'm out of coffee. My coffee's gone, man. Look at my cup.
Jeez.
There's nothing in it.
So funny. I'm over here drinking herbal tea.
Yeah, well, one of us is healthy and one of us is not.
Nah. All right, let's go ahead and get into some news. Go ahead, Dave.
All right, so let me just touch on the Francis thing. Francis made some comments. I definitely want your reaction on it, but I'll just include the Tyson Fury comments as well, all in one thing, and then you guys can separate it and talk about it how you want. Okay, so here we go with the Francis thing. Francis, in an interview regarding the John Jones and Cyril Gane fight announcement, said, I want to share my excitement for the heavyweight fight between John Jones and Cyril Gane. It's going to be a very exciting fight. I'm going to be watching that fight, but we all know the term undisputed means nothing here. Yes, it really means nothing, but I will still be excited watching that fight. So that was Francis's comments regarding that title fight. Here are comments from Tyson Fury about the potential of a fight with Ngannou. Tyson says, Francis Ngannou, I know you're out of contract with the UFC. Want to earn some big boy money? Come and see the Gypsy King. Let's do a big fight for the baddest MFer on the planet. Let's kick it up spicy. In a cage, 4-inch gloves under Queensberry rules, and let's have a badass referee like Iron Mike Tyson.
There's no difference for him if it's in a cage. Cage doesn't make a difference for Tyson Fury.
He does bounce off the ropes a little bit. He does kind of like
he
does lean into them a little bit. It will make a little bit of a difference, a little bit.
True.
And the 4-ounce gloves will definitely make a difference. Huge difference, because the ability the way he blocks with punches, the way he rolls with punches and blocks punches with his big gloves.
I like
that ain't gonna work though. That ain't gonna work. The fact that he's even open to this, I fucking love him. Oh yeah, I love him. Tyson Fury is hands down my favorite fucking boxer right now. Just I fucking hands down. He's not just because of this. He's been my favorite for a little bit because I love the way he rose up like the fucking Undertaker after he got knocked down by Wilder.
12th round.
After that, I was like, this guy, he's a fucking dog. I love this guy. After that, the rest is history, man. He's so fun. Good for him. I hope it does happen. The fact that he's bringing this up, I love the fact that he said big boy money. Cause I mean, if he will make some big boy money. I mean, I don't know if it's going to be, it'll probably be about 15. I say 15 to 18, somewhere in there. 18 million, 15 to 18 million. It's not going to be no Conor McGregor 50 to 100 million. It won't be that, but it'll be close
it won't
to
be 100 million, but it'll be somewhere, I would say, like you said, between 15 and 30.
Yeah, I could see up to 30. I mean, depending on the buys, I think depending on sponsors, I think depending on whatever it is, I'm sure there's some side deals they can work to make a lot more money on. But Francis will bring in some sponsorship money, which will be up in the millions.
Yep.
You know, I mean, I've noticed some big companies that are coming in that you would have never thought that would be sponsoring fighters and athletes. Right? You've got OnlyFans sponsored AJ McKee in Japan, and then you also have they're sponsoring NASCAR as well and Formula One. So look for them to start getting wet. Andy Ruiz fought,
Ruiz in boxing.
Yeah, Andy Ruiz in boxing. So they're trying to change. I think it sounds like they're trying to change the look of their company, and then they're putting their money behind athletes and fighters. So and sports. So that'll be good. Anyways, I'm looking forward to this fight if it does happen. Big boy money, baby. Big boy money. All right, next.
So did you have any comments you want to make regarding the
We just
Francis comments about it?
No, I mean Francis understands that he left as the champ, and he's gonna take a little jab because John Jones will be considered if he does beat Cyril will be considered.
Here's the problem, and here's the problem, and this is where he's so right, because Francis Ngannou beat Stipe Miocic to win the title. Okay. I remember because I had said something about, look, he's 36, but he hasn't been damaged. And someone brought up the Stipe Miocic first fight. And I go, he didn't get damaged in that. He was exhausted in it because he got out wrestled, but he didn't get damaged.
His pride got damaged.
His pride and ego got damaged, but he didn't get damaged. But he comes back and he beats Stipe, knocks Stipe out. He beats Cyril Gane. The only one he hasn't fought is John Jones. So in all of these, and this is where the media and everything, you look at it, Josh, and you go, oh, really? Because now Francis should be number one on everyone's list at heavyweight, right? Now that he's not with the organization, the UFC, as soon as Cyril Gane or John Jones wins that fight, who's going to be number one? Is it going to be Francis Ngannou? Uh-uh. And that's not only in the UFC's rankings.
Yeah.
And this is where you go, you people suck. Mm-hmm. Because, see, you're not being honest. You're being a fucking follower. You're being sheep in saying, oh, this is the organization that, we're going to say is the number one fighter. Look, he's right. He's still there. And, yes, he can't fight these guys because he won't sign a contract with the UFC based upon what they want. They won't sign a contract with him based upon what he wants. Okay, but it takes nothing from what he's done as a fighter or who he is as a fighter. And the fact that he's going to drop faster than Beneil Dariush, who keeps winning and keeps going down. Okay?
It's so strange to me.
But that's what you're going to see when the guy is still the same guy. It's crazy.
Yeah, because you're supposed to keep the rankings the way that they are for 15 months. Now, just because he's not in the
unless
UFC,
someone beats him.
Yeah, unless someone beats him. I mean, unless in his inactivity, I'm sure people working up, but he's considered to be the champ in the UFC. Or he is the undisputed champ in the UFC, and he's not fighting there anymore. Yeah. They should be they should still keep him at that number one spot. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Look, I'm going to put it back into the media's hands, and we all know how well that goes. So, alrighty. Let's, what else is there, Dave?
We'll wrap up on that.
I wanted to give a little honorable mention to my boy, Bob Cook. Bob Cook is back in the game. He is working over at Kill Cliff with all the fighters over there as well. He joined with Henry Hooft and some other guys in the management team, and they are out there working with Tufik Mosayev, Logan Storley, and all the other fighters that are out of that gym. There's Jason Jackson. There's a ton of fighters in that gym. I can go through them all. But he has joined that team out there. He's out there right now helping some of those guys get ready. So that is going to be a great addition to that Kill Cliff team, that Kill Cliff gym with Henry Hooft and Craig Jones and all those guys out there. So it's going to be great. It's going to be great for all of them. So
that's a good thing. And you can't get any better as far as a person than Bob. Mm-hmm. Bob is a great guy, very humble, very very stupid in that he still spars with people that knock the shit out of him. And I love him. I want to say one thing that we didn't cover. Jose Aldo being put into the UFC Hall of Fame. Congratulations. Absolutely. Definitely deserved. No doubt about it. The guy was a legend who frickin' from the WEC and all the fights that he had there, smashing people, coming into the UFC. Yes, he was handed that belt at that time because he was the WEC featherweight champion and there was no UFC featherweight champion, and he kept that belt for all that time until finally when Conor was able to beat him. But man, this dude has been an absolute stud. He is a legend in the sport. He absolutely deserves that. Congratulations on the UFC putting you exactly where you belong in their Hall of Fame.
He, for me, will always go down as the greatest featherweight of all time. I don't want to say, people want to say Max, people want to say Conor. No, I'm sorry. Jose Aldo was doing it before it was cool, and he was doing it all the way up until it was cool. And then he decided, you know what? I'm going to go down in another weight class and try to do it there. The guys, and he's always carried himself with so much respect and just such dignity. Great person, great human being. I'm glad that he's going in. I mean, he should have been as fast as possible, which is what they're doing. And I'm thankful to ever be a part of watching him fight, man. He has been high flying, nonstop action, just devastating striker, hard to take down. Fantastic athlete, and just an all-around great human being. So congratulations to you in the Hall of Fame. Well, John, that's going to wrap up our show today. Go ahead to WeighingInMerch.com. Pick up some of our hoodies. We've got plenty of hoodies that are out there. We've got some long sleeves, some hats, some short sleeves. We got it all available with some new merch, new designs at WeighingInMerch.com. Also, smash that subscribe button. Hit that little thumbs up. That new algorithm is saying that the thumbs up is the way to go. So hit that thumbs up for us. We want to thank you guys for supporting this podcast. And I'm sorry about my raspy ass voice today, but I was 7 hours yesterday of coaching kids. Man, you never wanted to yell. You were yelling. I was yelling so much. I had a headache after like 4 or 5 matches, man.
It's stressful.
It is.
It's stressful, but it's
so.
fun.
But thank you guys for continuing to support our podcast, and please share our material out there, post our videos out there, tag us in it. We will retweet, repost all of those things that you guys post. Thank you guys so much for supporting us. And John, take us away.
For everyone out there, thank you for tuning in. We will see you.